1 billion people scroll TikTok every month. But what if every swipe was giving someone, somewhere, the power to control your mind? TikTok isn't just another social media app. It's become a global obsession. From catchy dance routines to bite-sized life hacks. It's the app people open just for 5 minutes and then realize an hour has passed. Its endless feed of videos is so addictive that even people who don't consider themselves social media fans often find themselves hooked. But behind the laughter, trends, and viral moments, an uncomfortable question is echoing in the halls of power around the world. Is TikTok simply harmless fun, or is it a potential weapon for digital propaganda? Over the past few years, TikTok has exploded like no other platform in history. While Instagram and Facebook took years to build massive user bases, TikTok shot past 1 billion users in record time. Today, it's not just where memes are born. It's where news spreads, opinions form, and entire generations discover what's cool or important. For many teenagers and young adults, TikTok isn't just entertainment anymore. It's become their main source of information. That's a huge cultural shift, and it means whoever controls TikTok holds enormous influence over what people around the world see and believe. But here's the part that makes governments nervous. TikTok is not a product of Silicon Valley. Unlike Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, which are based in the United States, TikTok is owned by ByteDance, a company headquartered in Beijing, China. And that single fact has unleashed a storm of suspicion. Why does this matter? In China, companies are subject to strict government control. Under Chinese law, authorities can demand access to data and even influence how a company operates. So when people in Washington, London, and other capitals look at TikTok, they don't just see a popular app. They see a potential tool for surveillance, manipulation, or subtle influence over millions of users worldwide. Imagine this. TikTok's secret algorithm, which decides what videos appear on your For You page, could theoretically be tweaked to promote certain messages or hide others. If Beijing wanted to push a political narrative or suppress criticism, it could be done invisibly. No announcement, no obvious censorship, just fewer videos criticizing China, and more content that quietly favors its image. Most people wouldn't even notice it happening. This is why TikTok is being scrutinized so heavily. To its fans, it's just a fun app full of jokes, trends, and music. But to world leaders, it's a black box that could influence opinions on a massive scale, a digital Trojan horse hiding in plain sight. Whether or not TikTok is actually being used this way is still up for debate, but the possibility alone has been enough to trigger hearings, investigations, and even outright bans in some countries. TikTok insists it's independent and denies any improper connection to the Chinese government. Yet the fear lingers: what happens if one day the platform is used not just to entertain, but to control what an entire generation thinks? Unlike old-school social media platforms, where you mostly see posts from friends and people you follow, TikTok works very differently. Its greatest weapon and its biggest mystery is the For You page. This is the endlessly scrolling feed that seems to know you better than you know yourself. Whether it's a comedy skit, a dance challenge, or a cooking hack, TikTok's algorithm doesn't just wait for you to choose content. It chooses for you. Here's what makes it so powerful. The algorithm watches everything you do. It notes how long you watch each video, which ones you skip immediately, which you replay, even whether you read the comments or share it with friends. Every tiny action you take, even stopping to glance at a clip for just 2 extra seconds, teaches the system about your interests, your emotions, even your moods. Then it feeds you more videos designed to keep you hooked. And while this seems harmless when it's just sending you funny cat videos or cooking tutorials, it's also the reason TikTok is at the center of a global controversy. The scary part? No one outside TikTok really knows exactly how this algorithm works. The company claims it's just about personalization, about showing you what you enjoy. But critics say this black box system could easily be manipulated. If someone wanted to push a certain message or hide one, they wouldn't need to post propaganda openly. They could simply make sure certain types of videos appear more often and others appear less often. Imagine this scenario. You're scrolling through TikTok like any normal day. But behind the scenes, the algorithm is being quietly adjusted. Suddenly, videos criticizing China don't show up as frequently. Clips mocking Western leaders or highlighting political scandals become more common. The change would be so subtle you might not notice, but over time, the tone of your feed would shift. You might start thinking differently about global events without realizing why. That's what worries governments. In theory, TikTok could become a massive propaganda machine, not through obvious fake news, but through invisible steering. Instead of telling you what to think, it would gently nudge you in a certain direction, just by curating what you see and what you don't see. And because TikTok is owned by a Chinese company, officials fear Beijing could pressure it to do exactly that if relations with other countries worsen. To understand why this is a big deal, consider how much influence TikTok already has. It doesn't just entertain, it sets cultural trends, spreads political memes, and even influences what products people buy and what music goes viral. On many issues, TikTok has become the main way millions of young people learn about the world. If such a powerful tool were ever used to subtly shape opinions about China, its rivals, or global conflicts, the impact could be enormous. Even more concerning is how difficult it would be to detect. Traditional propaganda, like TV ads or posters, is easy to spot because it's direct. You know when someone is trying to convince you of something. But TikTok's algorithm works silently. Users feel like they're choosing what to watch, when in fact the app is choosing for them. A few small adjustments in what's promoted or buried could completely change public sentiment over time, and nobody would have any clear proof it was happening. This isn't just a theory dreamed up by paranoid politicians. In the past, other social platforms have already been accused of influencing elections and public opinion using targeted content. What makes TikTok different is its reach, speed, and how incredibly addictive it is. Videos on TikTok aren't just recommended, they're engineered to keep you watching for hours. And the more you watch, the more influence the algorithm has over what you believe is popular or true. So when leaders in Washington, London, and Brussels ask tough questions about TikTok, it's not only about data privacy. It's also about information control. Who decides what an entire generation sees on their screens? And what happens if that power falls into the wrong hands? This fear isn't just a theory floating around in think tanks. Countries are already taking action. The alarm over TikTok has led to some of the most aggressive moves ever taken against a social media platform. India, home to one of the largest groups of TikTok users in the world, went the furthest. In 2020, after border clashes with China, the Indian government banned TikTok outright, labeling it a national security threat. Overnight, millions of users woke up to find the app completely gone from app stores and blocked on networks. The message was clear. India believed TikTok's potential risks were serious enough to justify cutting off one of the country's most popular entertainment apps, even if it angered millions of young users. The United States has taken a different approach, but the tone is just as sharp. American lawmakers have repeatedly called TikTok executives to testify in Congress, grilling them on one issue. Do you share data with the Chinese government? Every time, TikTok firmly denies it. The company insists it operates independently, stores U.S. data on American soil, and is building even stricter safeguards. But despite these assurances, many politicians aren't buying it. They argue that under Chinese law, any company based in China can be compelled to hand over information to the government, no matter what its executives say in public. Across Europe, the skepticism is growing as well. Several countries have begun restricting TikTok on official devices. This includes government phones, agency computers, and even devices used by members of parliament. The concern is straightforward. TikTok might collect sensitive information, location data, contacts, browsing habits. That could be accessed by Beijing if requested. And while this might sound like ordinary app tracking, in the world of geopolitics, that data is pure gold. Think about it. If a foreign government could see in real time what millions of people are watching, liking, fearing, or getting angry about, that's not just entertainment data, it's a map of public opinion. It reveals what citizens believe, what issues matter most, and even where unrest might be brewing. For a rival nation, having access to that kind of insight could be incredibly powerful. It's like holding the pulse of another country's population in the palm of your hand. That's why even militaries and intelligence agencies have told their members to delete TikTok completely. Not just from work phones, but often from personal devices as well. They worry that TikTok could track soldiers' locations, monitor their routines, or gather information about bases and operations through something as simple as a video upload. One seemingly harmless clip shot near a military facility could reveal far more than intended. The bigger issue is that social media isn't just for sharing dance videos anymore. It's become a powerful tool for shaping opinions, spreading messages, and even influencing elections. If any government, not just China, could secretly manipulate TikTok's algorithm or use its data, it would have an unprecedented way to sway public opinion or gather intelligence. That possibility alone is why so many countries are acting now, before any clear evidence emerges. In short, this isn't about paranoia. It's about risk management. To world leaders, TikTok isn't just a trendy app for teens. It's a potential security hole big enough to drive a truck through. And until they're absolutely sure it's safe, many governments are treating it as a threat. Here's where the story gets complicated. For all the fear and suspicion surrounding TikTok, there's still no clear public evidence that the app has deliberately manipulated political content to favor China or hurt its rivals. When you open TikTok, what do you see? For most people, it's still the usual mix of dance challenges, comedy skits, cooking hacks, and viral memes. There's no obvious sign of propaganda, no endless stream of pro-China messages taking over people's feeds. This is why some analysts believe the uproar isn't just about real danger. It's also about geopolitical rivalry. The United States and China are locked in a struggle for global influence, not just in trade and military power but in technology. In the 20th century, nations competed over oil and weapons. In the 21st century, they're competing over data, algorithms, and digital platforms. And TikTok, the first major social media giant to come out of China and dominate worldwide, has become a symbol of that shift. From this perspective, TikTok isn't necessarily being targeted because of what it's doing wrong, but because of what it represents. A Chinese tech company beating American tech companies at their own game. U.S. lawmakers worry that if they allow TikTok to thrive unchecked, it could be the first step toward Chinese dominance in the tech sector, leaving American companies and regulators playing catch-up. However, even though there's no hard proof of manipulation, experts warn against getting too comfortable. Just because TikTok hasn't obviously done anything suspicious today doesn't mean it couldn't do so in the future. The platform is incredibly powerful, and that's exactly why so many governments see it as a risk. Think of TikTok as holding a loaded weapon. Right now, it might be lying on the table and used, but the fact that it exists, and that someone has their finger near the trigger, makes people nervous. TikTok's algorithm decides what an entire generation sees, learns, and thinks about. If that power ever fell into the wrong hands or was used for political purposes, the impact could be massive. This is the real heart of the debate. It's not just about whether TikTok is safe today, it's about whether it could become dangerous tomorrow. Imagine a future where political tensions between the US and China spiral out of control. If Beijing wanted to influence public opinion abroad, TikTok's feed could be subtly adjusted to promote messages that favor China's position or undermine its rivals. No big announcement, no obvious propaganda campaign, just small changes in what videos appear and what stories go viral. Over weeks or months, it could quietly shift how millions of young people view the world. And that's why so many people keep asking, who controls the trigger? TikTok insists it operates independently from the Chinese government and is doing everything it can to protect user data and stay transparent. But skeptics argue that no company based in China can fully say no if the government demands access. Under Chinese law, national security interests always come first, even over private business concerns. In other words, TikTok might not be doing anything wrong now, but it could be forced to later. And when you're talking about an app that shapes culture, spreads information faster than any news outlet, and influences how an entire generation sees the world, that could is enough to make governments nervous. So what happens next? TikTok is working overtime to prove that it has nothing to hide. The company has announced plans to store user data in new facilities outside China, promising that sensitive information will be walled off from potential government interference. It has also floated the idea of creating a US-based oversight board to monitor its operations, audit its code, and reassure lawmakers that its algorithm isn't secretly serving political agendas. But despite these efforts, governments remain cautious. The fear isn't necessarily about what TikTok is doing today. It's about what it could do in the future if relations between China and the rest of the world take a darker turn. This isn't just about data privacy or where servers are located. It's about control, influence, and power. For everyday users, TikTok still feels completely harmless. You open the app, scroll through funny skits, dance challenges, and viral pranks. Nothing that looks remotely like political propaganda. But that's exactly what makes the debate so complicated. The platform is so good at being fun that it's easy to forget how much influence it actually has. Social media isn't just entertainment anymore. It's where opinions are formed, movements are born, and sometimes where misinformation spreads like wildfire. Entire political campaigns, protests, and social causes now organize and gain momentum on apps like TikTok. If any single company or any government behind it gained the ability to steer those movements even slightly, it would have enormous power over society. That's why leaders and cybersecurity experts say the debate over TikTok is not really about the present. It's about the future. What happens if US-China relations worsen? What if a global conflict erupts? Or if China suddenly pressures TikTok to take sides in a major political crisis? Could the algorithm be quietly adjusted to push narratives that favor one country over another? Even subtle manipulation could have a huge impact. If TikTok were ever used to boost certain political messages or suppress others, it wouldn't need to be obvious. Users wouldn't see a big banner saying, "This is propaganda." They would simply notice, or maybe not notice at all, that some types of videos appear less frequently while others seem to go viral overnight. Over time, that invisible hand could reshape public opinion without anyone realizing it. TikTok says it would never allow this to happen. Executives insist that the platform operates independently, with no control from Beijing. They point to transparency measures, third-party audits, and partnerships designed to keep user data safe. But skeptics argue that no matter what TikTok says, its ownership structure, and Chinese laws that can compel companies to cooperate with government requests, leaves too much risk on the table. As one cybersecurity expert famously put it, "It's not about what you see today. It's about what they could show you tomorrow." That single sentence captures why so many people are worried. Even if TikTok is innocent now, its potential for influence is massive, and no one really knows what that power might be used for down the line. For users, the lesson is bigger than just one app. It's a reminder that our screens are not neutral. Every video we watch, every post we like, every second we spend scrolling is teaching algorithms how to shape our world. Whether TikTok turns out to be truly dangerous or simply a pawn in a global power struggle, it highlights a truth we can't ignore. Whoever controls the flow of information controls the future. TikTok's story isn't just about an app. It's about the future of information, privacy, and who controls the global conversation. Whether you're scrolling for fun or for news, remember, every swipe tells the algorithm a little more about you. And somewhere out there, someone's paying attention.